Back with us is Patrice Leonwuka. We've got Scott Levenson and Noel Nickpour. So, Patrice, to you and the effect of this announcement when it comes later this week. No surprise, but he's the big fish, right?
He is. The question is whether running the Obama playbook will work for him. And I don't think it's going to. I mean, Obama was very...
I think you answered that no, right?
Absolutely. I mean, President Obama was unique when he ran. And Joe Biden being able to run with, take up the ball and run with what he did is not necessarily going to work, especially when you consider that the pro-growth strategy the Trump administration has put in place has really taken this economy and this nation in a way that it wasn't under President Obama. So why would we want to go backwards? And I think that's what voters will be thinking about.
What do you think, Scott?
I actually think it's good news to have 28 Democratic candidates, or whatever the current number is when you have
287.
I think it's 287. No, when Joe Biden enters this race, he's going to raise the caliber of the entire field just by association. Having his voice, having his credentials in the race, in the debate.
Even with all these other controversies?
It's actually a positive thing to have someone of his accomplishments in this contest, because as one of the candidates said this week, they're not running as opponents. They're running to actually discuss the issues of the day.
No, they're not. They're running as opponents.
But if they craft these debates, if they craft these exchanges along policy lines, Joe Biden will add a voice to this discussion.
If he can. He gets two words in.
Everybody's going to be fighting for airtime.
Right.
And that's the struggle over the next year and a half.
Well, one of the things that told me that Joe Biden's going to jump in this race is that he definitely has the money, because I think with all these candidates in a crowded field, you'd better see where the major bundlers are. You better see where everybody is financially, because we all know it cost a boatload of cash to run for office.
But aren't those the same ones who were lined up behind Hillary Clinton in 2008? And something changed where they unlined up and went to someone else named Barack Obama.
Yeah, but you've got to look at it and see, like, there were some people that got together and hosted a party for Kamala Harris. Some of those same donors now are going to be looking, probably since Joe Biden's in the race, to go ahead and fund him.
Do they hedge their bets? Do they just give to everybody to try to suck up to everyone?
And Republicans did as well. When you had 16 candidates running when Donald Trump was running, you had a lot of people that hedged their bets, and they gave money to Bush. They gave money to,
But there probably hasn't been a candidate in the race, in all fairness, that represents a movement like Bernie Sanders does.
But do Democrats want to risk, and I know it's a poor way to frame it, an older white guy to be their nominee?
I think messenger is part of the problem, and part of the challenge is the message.
Well, what do you think of that, Patrice? Is that risky for the Democrats to do when they're saying we're all about diversity and everything else?
In part it is. I think it depends on how rabid you are. Some are going to say we want a woman, we want or a person of color. But actually, when you look at some of the voters and how they view candidates, they are not necessarily, like 84% of voters would be willing to support a presidential candidate regardless of whether they're a person of color or whether they're a woman. So it's suggested it's whether, it's
they just want to defeat, in this case, Donald Trump, right? That supersedes everything.
It's not just that they want to beat Donald Trump, because they're not willing to have some plastic candidate who they don't believe in. The beauty of some of the candidates running is they come off authentic, they come off genuine, and they have records to back that up. The message is pretty consistent among the contenders.
Yeah, but the bad thing's going to be if Bernie Sanders ends up getting the nomination, it's going to put basically socialism versus capitalism on the table, and that's a scary deal. Even if you like the idea of Sanders.
You can criticize Bernie Sanders, but one thing
he's authentic, he's sincere,
he destigmatized
not going to hold up to capitalism.
He destigmatized the word socialism in our country, so we can actually begin to have a discussion outside of the Soviet model. That's a good thing.
All right, we shall see. Guys.